Hello everybody, welcome to Archaeology Wednesday. This Wednesday we are finished with one of the last contexts of our unit here. So we are going to go through the artifacts from that unit and you'll see what we kind of do when we sort them after washing. So let's go ahead and get started. Here is a context that we're about to sort. You can see all sorts of artifacts in there. Once we get them all sorted, then that'll help me to better catalog everything so that we have a good record of what is in each layer. So we are going to go through this together and sort it into different bags. So let's get started then. Our next step here, we're going to get our bag ready for sorting. We will have a bag here. And we're still waiting on our bag shipment, so we have grocery store bags for the moment. But we need to make sure that all of the information that is needed to keep it from getting lost is on this bag. So the context information, the most important part, where did these artifacts come from? What layer? What unit? So we have that information first. Then we've got what is in this bag. So for this instance, I'm going to start this large bag with ceramics because I know we have a large number of those in the tray in front of me. Then you need the date and then the count or the weight of how many artifacts are in this bag. That kind of helps to know where things are. If you open a box, you have a bunch of bags in there. What are we looking at? So for this bag, I'm just going to start. I'm not going to count. I'm not going to, really sort too deeply just yet. I want to just get everything sorted and out of the tray so I know kind of what I'm looking at. So we'll open the bag, of course. Then we'll start taking things out of the tray. So this right here is a ceramic. It's a nice plate. It even has a back stamp on it, which is cool. That'll help us to figure out where was this made, when was it made. Online, there's a lot of resources about that stuff. This looks to be some sort of kind of elongated platter or a plate maybe. So here is what we're looking at. It's probably ironstone. We see that a lot here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the bag for cataloging later. We've got some more ceramics in here. Let's see what else we've got. Here's another piece. This is a ceramic. You can see the glaze is kind of coming off a little bit. I don't know why that, I don't know how that just happened. But anyways, here's another ceramic we're gonna put in there. So we've got a lot of ironstone in this context. You can see it's that white ceramic here. And depending on how much is in here, we might need multiple bags for our ceramics. Here's another piece here. And this looks like it could possibly be a lid of some sort, or it could be kind of a bowl with a pedestal. I'd have to do some more research into that one because this is a new, it's kind of got like a hollow piece right there. So I'm going to put that in the bag as well. Let's see what else we have in here. So other than our white ceramics, which tend to be ironstone for this location, we also have a lot of stoneware. This right here is stoneware. It's got an orange peel texture to it if you look on it because it was salt glazed. There was salt thrown on it when I went to the kiln. There's a number 4 and possibly something underneath it that was cut off. Anyways, back to that. Sorry that video got cut off there. But we have the number 4 there, so I'm going to put that in the bag for now just to generally sort. Here's another stoneware. We seem to have a lot of stonewares in here. Which would have been used for food storage, for, household purposes, kind of like your Tupperware containers almost. Here's another one. You can see the glaze is kind of dripping down that way, like maybe when they glazed it, the pot was on its side. This is the rim here, and then the inside is a different color. So that one will go in the bag as well. We have a lot of stonewares. Here's another one. This one has a pretty nice design under the rim. And if you flip it around, it's also a darker color. So we're gonna have a lot of larger pieces in this context. There's another one. It kind of looks similar, but it's actually different. They have a pretty similar rim there, rim color going on. So we'll stick that in the bag as well. And then we're starting to get into kind of the smaller pieces here. We do have a yellowware rim with a slip here. and this would have been part of a bowl. It's got a little blue poking out there at the bottom. What else do we have? We've got a lot of smaller pieces coming up. This is some spongeware. Look how cool that is. It's actually part of a saucer, most likely. There's a little bit of a foot ring there, you can see on the bottom. So this would have been made with a sponge and pressing the pattern onto it. And then some nicer transfer prints. So you can see that design. That would have been a really nice piece if we had the whole piece. We are having a lot of this pattern come out, so hopefully in the future we can mend those together across layers and see what we have here. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep picking out some of the smaller pottery pieces here. They'll go in the bag, and later on I'll kind of sort them into even further into what we have. And here's another yellowware piece, more of that bowl that I mentioned earlier. Oh, and right peeking out, we have a piece of spongeware again. This one has red in it, so very cool. And it looks to be maybe another saucer. So that's pretty. It's missing a lot of glaze on the back again. You know, it's pretty typical to have chips of glaze missing from these pieces. Here's a base. So it would have sat like that, of a stoneware, probably a crock, you can see. And I like stonewares because sometimes you can actually see the rings from when it was thrown. So that's pretty cool. And you can see it's got a gray paste there. All right, so I'm gonna cut. We're going to jump to our next category so you can see a few of the artifacts that will fall into that one. All right, our next category of sorting here, let's do some bone. We do have a lot of animal bones here. You might recognize some pieces. So those will go in the bag together. I am not quite knowledgeable about what bones are from which animal just yet. So for now, I'm gonna sort them into identifiable and unidentifiable. Sometimes there are little pieces that are just so pulverized by the weather, they're in such bad shape, you might not be able to tell what kind of animal it comes from. Like this one right here. It's super hard to tell that one. But some, like this piece, you might be able to tell. That's a vertebra. So you've got a vertebra of an animal here. You can see it. It's gonna go in the bag. Then you get other types of bones here that are obviously butchered. So in the trash dump, you're likely to find a lot of bones because, you know, people are eating meat, and butchered bones, especially like this, you can see it's cut straight across. That's a long bone there that was butchered. And then you have this one as well that was butchered. You can see how straight across that is. It's a beautiful cut. So that'll be noted when it's cataloged, just so you can see how many butchered bone were in each context. So just picking up bones, there's quite a lot in here, which is, you know, it's pretty expected of a trash dump. Sometimes other things can look like bones, like tree roots. Sometimes pottery can look like a bone. Here's another butchered one straight across there. So funny enough, if you're not sure if it's a bone actually sticks to the tongue. So that's kind of a strange thing, but there's another bone there. I'm just gonna keep picking them up. Here's the end of a long bone. Yeah, so I'm gonna finish picking out these bones. Let's go on to the next one. For our next couple categories here, we have a lot of glass that we find. Glass is easy to break, so it's easy to throw away. Before they had plastics, they had glass. And then we also have another type of glass that'll be in a separate category, which is architectural, so from your windows, which in this context, we've actually had some pretty large window glass pieces. So this is probably one of the corners. We've got another corner here. Who knows, we could have a whole window here. I don't even actually know if they mend together. Probably not, not these pieces at least. But you could probably have a whole window. You can see kind of a rainbow color on some of the glass here, and that is because it's what some people call glass disease. It's basically when glass starts to turn back into sand, it'll get that iridescent color on it. It's breaking down back into what it came from. So I will go ahead and put this window glass in a bag. Now, sometimes it can be hard to tell, is this window or is this bottle if it's not that big? Like maybe one of these smaller pieces here. And the way to tell if it's flat glass or if it's a bottle, now there are paneled bottles, but you look from the side, it might look a little different. It's just working with it and seeing with it a lot, you start to recognize it a little bit easier. Another way you can tell if it's flat or if it's a curved piece is you set it on a flat surface, like a table, and then you'll rock it back and forth with your finger. And if it rocks, then it's probably some type of bottle or some type of curved glass like tableware. If not, it's probably a window. So, or, you know, also you have your paneled bottles that have flat sides. So I'm just going to pick out the window glass here. This is a pretty boring one for me. I never really got excited by window glass, but this will not be counted, thank goodness. I'm going to weigh it to get a weight on that for the catalog. So see, this does look like window glass, but if I put it on something here, it does rock back and forth a little bit. So that's probably not window glass unless maybe it was melted or burned. But there's a lot of teeny tiny pieces of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish putting this in the bag. And next we'll take a look at bottle glass and tableware. Look at, that's pretty sharp. All right, so we're gonna do a couple categories in one here. We've got a couple more categories left that are pretty typical of a trash dump. We've got glass is next, so bottle, glass, tableware, and I'll sort all through that later. But just looking in here, we already have some sticking out obvious to us. Look at this little bottle. It's a little bottleneck with some of the shoulder. So that's gonna go in our little bag. And also when sorting, you also categorize it by color. So it depends on if you're like a lumper or a splitter when you're trying to catalog. If you are a lumper, then kind of all the blues go together. But if you're a splitter, then you get kind of down into what kind of blue is this? Is it an aqua? Is it a green blue? Is it what? So here's another blue. This looks like a bottle base to me. So it's a very pretty color. There, and then you have a little bit of the side of the bottle coming up. So I'll put that in there. We also have a nice, this is probably part of a wine bottle, so bottleneck. And it's very much hand tooled, so you can kind of see the stretch marks from where it was stretched out when it was being made. And then this is very uneven on the top, like that lip there. You can see it a little better now. That's super uneven. And then there's also things like bubbles inside that tells me it's gonna be a little bit older, possibly a hand-pulled neck. So we have some of those bottles, and then, you know, this does look like it could be the color of a window glass, but it's definitely curved, so bottle. Let's see what else we have in here. Here's probably more of that wine bottle, and you can start to see some of the bubbles in it, like right where my fingernail is almost. Some of those imperfections. We have more of this wine bottle in another context, including the kick, the base of it. So it could possibly be put together. It's a very pretty one. And then you also have clear glass. I think we have a piece over here of a tumbler drinking juice glass, which you might have seen one in our previous videos. Could be the same one, you never know. So yeah, and then there's very thin glass that comes out. That's probably some type of tableware. I'm gonna go through, pull out some more bottle glass. There doesn't seem to be too much in this context compared to others. So I'm gonna pull that out in just a second here. And then we're gonna move on to our metals. Now, metal is pretty funky. It looks like some of the nails are so corroded. I like to say it looks like a old crusty Cheeto. So like that's been in your car for a couple hundred years. So here's an example of what a nail looks like. So it can be sometimes pretty hard to tell what's going on. Sometimes they're in better condition, not the best. If they're burnt, it can be really easy to see them. It'll kind of keep it from rusting. And then you have random pieces of flat metal that you may never know what it is. Even if you were to x-ray it and look, you know, it's like, what is this? I don't know. And if you were to x-ray it, you know, to see what's under all that rust, it would kind of look the same. So typically what you find are a lot of nails in this, and nails have a very long sorting process as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull all of that out. Here's another random maybe a strap of some sort, or we have had some hinges. This one is corroded to a rock, so this nail. So sometimes it'll corrode to other objects, other artifacts. So yeah, and there are ways that metal can be cleaned as well. You know, it can be sandblasted. There are chemicals that it can be used. There are different processes in which it can be cleaned up if it's something very important other than a nail. Here's kind of a curved piece of metal, so maybe some type of can or something like that. All right, so after the metal category, we have coal. So I have a bigger bag. Sometimes I like to save coal from certain layers if they're pretty sizable, just in case, like long in the future, if carbon dating becomes a lot cheaper or we have access to carbon dating. Here's a very sizable chunk, and it's already falling apart, so I'm just gonna stick it in this bag here. And this is just a sample, so there was a lot of coal in this layer, and I got it on my paper. So there was a lot of coal in this layer, but I only kept a small sample of them, probably just these 2 pieces, just in case anything in the future can be dated. So we like to keep that, and it will be noted that it's a small sample. So that kind of concludes, unless there's anything out of the ordinary. I still have a lot in this tray. As you can see, a lot of little pieces that need to be sorted. But if there is anything out of the ordinary, oh, here's something. Like this little screw cap that has 2 holes in the side. That'll go in its own bag because it's super interesting. You can see it's almost a little rusty. But if you know what this is, leave a comment because I would love to know. I haven't researched it yet. But things like that will go in its own category, its own bag, and it will be noted, measured, you know, everything like that. So, so that kind of concludes what comes out of this layer. You know, there can also be architectural debris that'll probably have its own bag. Here's we have some mortar here. Over here, there's a piece of mortar. I don't know where that went. Oh, a pipe stem. How cool. You've got a pipe stem. You can actually sometimes date them with drill bits. So the size of the borehole can tell you. The size of the pipe bowl. The older the pipe is, the smaller the pipe bowl is. And then there's certain designs that come out at different times that are more popular. Here's another one. So maybe they go together, who knows? So yeah, those will have their own bags as well. And then there's architectural debris such as plaster, mortar, stuff like that. And that'll be weighed just to get a general idea of how much is in there and how much architectural debris we have. And that'll turn into data. So all of this will turn into data that'll help us to better understand the dates of the context. It'll help us to understand what kind of objects were being thrown away at this time. Did they tear down a building? Did they have a party? I don't know. You know, it'll just kind of give us some hypotheses about what happened at this time. So that is the conclusion to this video. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I'm going to get on to finishing sorting this screen and cataloging, so that'll probably take me the whole day. It can take kind of a long time sometimes. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next Archaeology Wednesday. Bye-bye.